But in our culture, we do land acknowledgements every day. We do land acknowledgements when we wake up, when we breathe in and out, when we take care of ourselves. It is a land that teaches us and provides for us. And so we do land acknowledgement every day. I was taught that being respectful means not talking about somebody while they're not present. And so I've made sure that the land is present while we're talking about her. When we gather in public spaces, I've seen that land acknowledgement is being done as a political acknowledgement of the people. And often the land itself is not part of that.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to begin with an acknowledgement of the land.
We acknowledge our presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations who have and continue to call this territory home.
The area, known as Tukaronto, has been caretaken by the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the
Huron-Wendat, and the Métis Nation. We also acknowledge our presence on the territory of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation.
And celebrate this territory as the subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region.
When you hear the land acknowledgement and it talks about the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant Treaty, many people don't know what this means. The central circle represents a dish, and in that dish, the great peacemaker of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy cut up the beaver tail and put it in that dish so we can serve it to each other with one spoon. That dish has 3 simple teachings. First, never take more than your share. Second, make sure there's enough food to go around for everybody. Number 3, don't foul the dish or take the dish. We are also taught that that dish has 1 spoon because it is foundational that we cut the meat before we bring it into ceremony. So we don't bring weapons or sharp things into our meetings, our ceremonies, our gatherings. We want to ensure that our words and weapons don't come in and harm people. And so this is the teachings of that Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant Treaty.
This is the current generic land acknowledgement that is used at York University. Unfortunately, it isn't sufficient because often the land acknowledgement will be just one thing that will be checked on the list that things that need to be done when we host an event.
Land acknowledgements are used when a group of people are gathering as a way to start and open an event. It is an acknowledgement and a moment of pause to reflect on the continual occupation of Indigenous lands.
It recognizes the relationship that we have with the history of the land and colonialism and how we're going to move forward.
Land acknowledgement is important here at York because it can be viewed as a small but essential step towards the reconciliation process.
This is a settler institution occupying Indigenous land. And it's important. It serves the purpose of disrupting the notion of terra nullius or the fact that nobody was here. The fact that Indigenous communities have thrived in this territory since time immemorial needs to be acknowledged.
We have erased Indigenous people from the public sphere. We represent them in a specific racialized way, but Indigenous people are still present. They are here in their own terms. And so in recognizing and acknowledging them with the land acknowledgement, we bring them at the forefront. We see Indigenous people as they are today.
Land acknowledgements are relational to who we are and the land we are on. It is important that non-Indigenous people reflect and understand their responsibilities to this as well.
The land acknowledgement should be delivered by the individual or group that is called the gathering, whatever gathering it may be, and it should be distinguished at this time that only certain people have the right to welcome you to the land, whereas anyone can do a land acknowledgement.
I often put it back to the organizers of events because Indigenous people know where we belong. We know where we come from. And it's the people that don't really know that whose responsibility is to acknowledge that history, acknowledge those practices.
It becomes even more insincere when the person who reads the land acknowledgement hasn't had that relationship developed with the land acknowledgement.
If that relationship is not there, the words sort of become meaningless. So what's most important, regardless of the words you speak, if you speak it off a script or if you speak it from your heart, as long as it comes from within you and you're actually honoring that relationship as much as you would any other time you say I love you to someone.
When we gather to celebrate or teach or share, I've seen that land acknowledgement has been done mostly as a political checkbox.
It's only used as a tick box at an event.
Thing that would be checked on the list, that things that need to be done.
A checkbox in the list.
Or a way of being politically correct.
We've created this video to make sure that the people who read the statement and the people who hear the statement understand what is going on.
We also hope it serves as an educational tool for you to understand more about Indigenous people.
When you hear the land acknowledgement, especially if you reside in the territory referenced by the land acknowledgement, you should pay attention. Try to understand what is being said.
You should feel that you are honoring the Indigenous people of this territory known as Tekaranta.
You should reflect and listen attentively with an open mind and in a good way.
Some of the words might be tricky to pronounce. Here are some of them and their correct pronunciation.
Tagarondo. Tagarondo.
Nishnabek. Nishnabek.
Haudenosaunee. Haudenosaunee.
Huron-Wendat. Huron-Wendat.
We are all treaty partners, and so I know my responsibilities. I want to know, do you understand yours?
Thank you. Miigwech.
Well, I'd like to say thank you very much to everyone for watching this. Tiawenk in Wendat.
Nyaragoa for listening, for watching this video. I hope you've learned something. Onigawahi.
Thank you.
Wilalin, Koyanamik, thank you for listening.
Aye, hi. Thank you.
Thank you.